to the NXT Podcast, your home for weekly NXT reviews and insight.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
Find all of your NXT news, recaps, and analysis right here. So with that being said, we only have one question for you.
Are you ready?
We thought so. Let's get the show started right now.
Hey guys, it's Jay with your NXT Stand and Deliver instant reaction review. I figured I would do it this way so it's fresh in my mind, and not to mention I've got about 8 hours worth of wrestling before we even get to Monday Night Raw to watch, so I don't want to get anything confused. Stand and Deliver was amazing. It was an amazing show, and actually I tend to forget that last year I said the same thing. Like, I was like, oh, Stand and Deliver's coming, and then it happens, and you're like, holy crap, that was a friggin' amazing show. And by the way, there's not even WrestleMania yet, and we all know how WrestleMania was last year, so I'm hoping that this Stand and Deliver today set the table for the weekend, because if it did, then we are in for a treat. But I don't have a lot of notes for this right now. Like I said, this is an instant reaction. I just finished watching it. I'm going to give you some thoughts about each match, what I thought. There was probably one match that wasn't on the level of every other match. And the only reason why it actually stands out a little bit is because there was a betrayal. And I use that word very specifically. There was a betrayal. So that made that match a little bit better, like more interesting. But I'm not saying it's a bad match. I'm saying that it wasn't as good as the other ones. So let's go through the matches one at a time and just give my quick thoughts on them. First, we had during the countdown show, we had a match which was a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Elimination match, where the winner would face the winner of the Tag Team Championship match for the women on Tuesday at NXT, whether it be Liv and Raquel or whether it be Lyra and Bayley. One of those teams is going to be facing the winner of this match. This was a great match. It was a countdown show match. There was some shenanigans. Shenanigans. But the thing that happened of note in this match was that Roxanne got ticked at Cora Jade and left her in the ring. And even Booker T was like, no, we don't teach that at my school. So I don't know what she's doing. So, otherwise, this was a fantastic match, especially for a countdown show. Surprised that the Metaphor girls got eliminated first, with Lash Legend eating the pin, which was pretty interesting, because usually Jakara is the one that eats the pins when it comes to the Meta girls. But anyway, the winner of the match ultimately was, the winners were Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley, who I love. To be honest, with the state of the women's tag team divisions in both Raw and SmackDown, I almost hope, not that there's time for these titles to be on NXT, but I almost hope that the women's tag team titles stay on or focus on NXT, because there's think about this for a second. Between this match, which there were 8 women vying for the tag team title shot, then we have the North American title ladder match, then we have the Fatal 4-Way match. We had a total of 18 women fighting for three titles, essentially, today at Stand and Deliver. 18 women fighting for 3 titles today. Well, this afternoon. It's the afternoon here in New York. That's amazing. That's amazing. Think about that for a second. So, anyway, Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan will face the winner of the women's tag team title match at WrestleMania. They will face them at NXT, the show on Tuesday that will come from Vegas as well. So, the first match of the actual show was Ricky Saints against Ethan Page for the North American Championship. And yeah, this was another fantastic match. It was great. Like the two of these guys have such great chemistry, both on and off screen. They complemented each other so well. You know, Ricky just put it out all on the line, and Ethan just being Ethan Page. I mean, come on, he puts a great match on every time. Ricky Saints ends up retaining the North American Championship, but like I said, it was a great event. Great match, and I'm probably going to end up watching this at some point again, the whole card, because it was so good. The next match we're going to talk about was the tag team title match between Fraxium and Hank and Tank, and dare I say that this match could have been the match of the night. Now that's a lot of stiff competition, because there were other ones that I could say the same thing about. Hank and Tank were so good. Like, they have raised their level. And ultimately, they end up winning the tag team championship. And there was so many times that you thought that they were going to lose. So many, this match just was back and forth the whole time. You thought that Hank and Tank, one of them were going to get pinned. You thought that Fraxium could be pinned. And ultimately, Hank and Tank pull it out, and they are the new NXT Tag Team Champions, and rightfully so. I said this the other day, and I'll say it again. And by the way, so far of these three matches, I predicted all of them correctly. So, I'm not an expert, but it's just kind of the way they thought they were going. I honestly think that Nathan Frazier and Axiom are going to move up. Raw desperately needs help in their tag team division. SmackDown's is good. SmackDown's has 5 tag teams, and they're doing a TLC ladder match on Friday night, which, by the way, the fact that it's not at WrestleMania is ridiculous. So SmackDown's good. Raw needs Nathan Frazier and Axiom as a tag team. They need them there. They need to be able to do their thing on the big stage. They've already kind of played with them individually in matches on Raw and SmackDown. I think they were both on SmackDown. But it's time. It's time for them to move up. They've reestablished the tag team division in NXT, and Fraxium does not have to be there anymore. They need to be on Raw. They need more exposure to the Raw tag team division. So anyway, Hank and Tank, good. I'm happy. Like I said, Shawn Michaels, he made me finally care about Hank and Tank. And I'm not gonna lie, I teared up a bit when Hank and Tank won, because they did great. They've evolved so much in such a short amount of time. Anyway, after that we have the hold on a second. I think I'm out of order, but that's okay. I'm not gonna go in any particular order. I'm just gonna talk about the matches. The next match I'm going to talk about, though, is Kalani versus Sol versus Zarya versus Izzy versus Lola versus Thea in the ladder match for the NXT North American Women's Championship. And just another great friggin' match. Not as many ladder spots as other ladder matches, for whatever reason, I don't know. I had picked Lola Vice to win this match, and I said I could also be cool with Thea Hale. And I had said on my review from Tuesday, the only reason why I thought that Sol Ruka wasn't going to win is because she just won the speech title they showed it on Wednesday on X, so I didn't think that they would give her the 2 titles, even though the speed title really doesn't go anywhere except X. But Sol Ruka pulled it out. She pulled it out. A couple of Soul Snatcher cutters that she did on different people at the very end, and she ended up her and Zarya, they know it's business, and they had to go against each other at one point, even though they came out as a team and they worked together as a team. But at one point, they just had to do the business of trying to win the championship. And ultimately, Sol Ruka was the one that ended up winning the title. And, she is probably the best choice. I mean, like I said, I probably would have picked her if she hadn't won the Speed title earlier this week, but now she's got 2 titles. Now she's got the Speed title and she's got the North American Women's Championship. So good for her. Good for her. She's great. She's awesome. She'll eventually be on the main roster from what I can tell. And, there's going to be, she'll eventually be the women's champion too. But after the whole Stephanie and Jordan and Julia stuff calms down a bit, I think eventually she could be the NXT Women's Champion in the future. Kind of similar to Javon Evans, which we'll talk about later. Then we have the match of the family versus the Dark State in a 6-man tag. There was some shenanigans by the other guy of Dark State outside the ring, but ultimately this was a decent match. This was a match I would say was not as good as the rest of them. But in the end, Stacks did end up betraying Tony D'Angelo and kicking him in the family jewels. I thought that was kind of funny, actually. So, he ended up kicking him in the family jewels and walking out on him. And Dark State ends up winning the match, which I'm not surprised. I figured Dark State was going to win for one reason or another. But I had an idea that there may be a betrayal, either Tony betraying Stacks or vice versa, and ended up being Stacks betraying Tony. So then we have the women's championship match between Stephanie, Jordan, Julia, and Jada, and this was another fantastic match. Both the women's title matches tonight, everything was just moving. There was never a spot where you were kind of bored. Everybody was involved, especially in the Fatal 4-Way match. Everybody was involved. Everybody got their moves in, except Julia. No, Julia ended up, she hit the Arrivederci kick, so she wasn't able to do her finishing move. What is it? The Northern Lights Slam, I believe, or something like that. But everybody else actually got their finisher in, and ultimately Stephanie got her finisher on Jada Parker in the end, and Jada Parker eats the pin, which, again, it makes sense why Jada Parker would eat the pin. Because of the 4 of them, and I've said this before, Jada's good. I like her a lot, but ultimately she is no Stephanie, Julia, or Jordan. And her eating the pin makes perfect sense. So Stephanie retains the women's NXT title in the Fatal 4-Way. Finally, we have the main event, the triple threat match. I mean, these guys. It's funny. You've got 3 guys in 3 different levels. You've got Oba Femi, who is power, just power. Then you have Javon Evans, who is just bouncy speed, right? Bouncy is what he says. And then you've got Javon Evans, who's kind of like a mix between the two of them. Or Trick Williams, I'm sorry. Trick Williams is a mix between the two of them. Like, he's power, not as much as Oba, and he's high flying, but not as much as Javon. Javon, again, he was a star. Like, the things that he does is ridiculous. The things that he can do. There was a lot of trash talking during this match too, off mic trash talking, which I thought was interesting during the match. But ultimately, as I predicted, Oba Femi retained the title. And it makes sense. Oba is not going anywhere. If anybody is going anywhere, it's Trick Williams. He's the person that's going to be moving up in the world. Javon Evans needs to cook a little bit. He needs to be put back in the oven, and he needs to get more, not better, I would say more all-encompassing in what he does. He uses the cutter off the ropes a lot, maybe too much. He needs to kind of expand his arsenal. Obviously, what he does is impressive. It's amazing. But I feel like he relies on the cutter a little too much. And then ultimately, again, same as Jada Parker, Javon Evans ends up being the one eating the pin from Oba Femi, and it makes sense because of the 3 of them, Javon Evans is the one that's going to be. He's not going to be hurt by this. Nobody expected him to win. Same as Jada, nobody expected her to win, and they can move on with the momentum from just being in the match. they can move forward with the momentum. So overall, like I said, Stand and Deliver was freaking amazing. It was amazing. I am in the middle of Stand and Deliver and WrestleMania at 7 o'clock. I watched Stand and Deliver on my own. I'm going over to a friend's house to watch WrestleMania Night 1, and I can't wait. This is so, like, I'm telling you guys how things are going in the middle of the weekend. I'm super excited for what I just saw, and I'm super excited for what I'm about to see. And this is what WrestleMania weekend is all about. If you can't be there in person, and the amount of money that you'd have to pay to be there is astronomical. Like, I can't imagine how much it would cost. But for a fan that just sits at home or with friends and watches these shows, this is what it's all about. The one weekend a year that you can say to all your friends and family, unless you're watching WrestleMania weekend with me, don't bother me. I've got way too much to do this weekend. On top of that, we got to do eggs. On top of that, we have to do eggs for Easter. But at least WrestleMania doesn't start until later on. So tell me, guys, what you think. I honestly, like I said, I thought this was a great event. It was a great way to kick off WrestleMania weekend, like, with action. Like, SmackDown was okay, but Stand and Deliver was it. And I honestly wish more people watched NXT. I know I keep saying that. It's just so good. It's so much better to me. I watched a little bit of AEW. It's so much better than AEW. The talent is amazing, and it was just showcased today at Stand and Deliver. And it's, what are we in for the rest of this weekend? I cannot wait to find out. And until then, I will talk to you on probably Wednesday when I review the next NXT episode. So thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.